My career sucks.
Sex just isn't the same.
What's my purpose?
Where did this fat come from?
My relationship is killing me.
I'll never be happy.
My debt is piling up. I'll never find love. Why can't I be like other gay guys? Hey guys, it's time to get a grip, stop whining, make a bold move, and do something amazing with your 40-plus gay life. Let's get to the show with your Tell It Like It Is host, Rick Clemons, who does his best to never act like a dick or a diva unless you act like one first.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of 40 Plus Gay Men Gay Talk. And today I am absolutely thrilled to be talking with someone that I just met recently, and I'm not on a street corner anywhere, in a beautiful excursion that we did. But before we hop into that real quick, don't forget to join the community on Facebook, and don't forget to come to our once a month men's chats. Those happen the third Monday of each month. And that's it. That's all the advertisements. So let's talk about stepping into your truth, being yourself, performing in a way that makes you happy, but also showing up in our community in the way that helps support us and get us through these crazy, insane times that we're experiencing right now. And the person I'm bringing onto the podcast, he is an amazing, amazing performer in person and activist. And she is an amazing performer, person, activist. I remember walking through Amsterdam with her in full drag and going, I'm so proud to be able to walk next to this Southern Belle. Welcome to the podcast, Eric Swanson, also known as Miss Bouvier. So thanks for being here, buddy.
What an intro. I could just hear that every day. That was beautiful.
Okay, I'll just send you that bit of the recording each day and we'll go with it. But it was such a blessing, seriously, to get to meet you, watch you do your thing, and just hang out with you on the cruise that we just did, for Amsterdam Pride. It was really amazing, buddy.
Well, I also think that is, Amsterdam itself is just sort of pardon the expression, a breeding ground for camaraderie and aggressiveness, and it should be no shock that that's where World Pride is next year. So,
right.
And then to add to that, of course, being on a full gay charter, it makes it safe for us to exist in any space on the ship. It's our space. So the connections I make on that ship are just really deep and meaningful, and our connection was no exception. So I'm glad to be on.
Well, and what I loved about the whole experience is you kind of showed up in moments, and then when you did perform, there was so many beautiful. The guy that did sign language with you, that was just like an amazing thing to see both of you doing your stuff that you love to do, right?
Yeah.
But also to have this camaraderie, which if nobody's ever been on an LGBTQ experience, like a cruise or a land trip or something, there's camaraderie that just happens because you're with family. Okay, so let's just put that there. You can be on a gay group cruise and make the same thing, but sometimes I know you said you're getting ready to do one of these coming up when we were talking before we got on the podcast. It's about bringing that family spirit and that family feeling together. And I watched you numerous times. Like, I didn't ever feel like, oh, he's just doing this because he's got to do this. There was genuineness. And I think this is something that's missing in our community at times right now. That genuine piece of us bringing each other together. And as a performer, I know you do that really well, but there's this whole other side to you, Eric, that is about the activism. How and why is that? Let's start with the why that's so important to you, because I know you have a face in the community. I'm not saying any face, but that helps. Let's be honest. What we're doing right now is a face in the community. Yeah. Why is it so important for you to really let that piece of your life be an ever-present part of what you do?
Well, before she came along, I was a music teacher. I fought for, keeping programs alive and bringing music to all kinds of people from all kinds of walk of life, adult to childhood. And then I ran a theater company in Detroit, Michigan. So it was all about how do we engage with a city that at the time had filed bankruptcy? How can we make art in a safe space that allows barrier-free tickets, so free shows that were quality, that people could come and learn about and see themselves on stage? So that part of me has always been there. I think when I put Miss Bouvier on, it certainly was amplified because I think drag, and I've said this before, drag is sort of inherently political, and
Yes.
we're the biggest, loudest clowns in the room,
Hmm.
giving other people to permission to be more even themselves. We're in these crazy costumes, and we're okay drawing the attention to us. But when you look our way, we have something to say. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yep.
So there's that part of it, and I think keeping that continuity in my activist work has always been just, it's in my blood. It's in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
It's where we come from. So, and more so now that I live in Florida,
Yeah.
having my voice, whether it's singing voice or my activist voice, it needs to be heard right now in this state because it's kind of crazy. It's
It
kind of
is
crazy.
crazy. Well, and
Yeah.
the interesting piece, so I'm going to take us back to Amsterdam, which was just an amazing experience. I mean, so
Yeah.
any of you going to World Pride, let me just tell you, just being at Pride was freaking amazing. I can't even imagine what World Pride will be like in that city because it was welcoming, it was community, it was
Hmm.
just amazing stuff happening there. And I feel like this is where we're being called. We are being called in so many ways right now to not let anybody quiet our community. And the more that we show up in whatever way we can, okay, from this podcast to your performing to being on the streets to
Hmm.
donating, whatever it is, it's our rally cry right now. And I'm feeling it. And there's been moments, Eric, I was like, I wonder if I maybe should quiet my voice and not do this because I'm out there, just like you're out there. We're
Hmm.
exposed, okay? But I'm not going to let that hold me back. And I know so many people are really scared right now. So when you come across, I'm sure you do, some of those people who are, hey, Eric, can I just have a little conversation with you? I'm really scared. What are you saying, not only from a Miss Bouvier voice, but from Eric Hart, activist voice? What are
Hmm.
some of the things you might tell or share with someone who's like, I'm really unsure right now? And I know that's a big question.
It's a big question because there really is. I sort of get two sides of that, to be honest. I'm really scared right now. I feel powerless. I don't know what we can do. What can I do? And then I get, maybe you're being too loud. Maybe you should quiet down. Maybe, you're not speaking for me, or, and that actually comes from within our community. So I'll circle back to that
Mhm.
in a second. But to those who have come to me that feel like they don't have a voice right now, or that it's being stripped away, or in Florida, erased in the
Yep.
crosswalks right now, um, they are really feeling like they know they have power in the voting booth. They know that they can write a check. They do feel that that power is within their right. Where they feel powerless is in talking to other people about how they're feeling. They feel like they have not been given a space to say, I feel like we're back in 1969. I feel like
Mhm.
we're back in the closet, and because they've been able to live such a life, I won't. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, "This living my life and walking down the streets of New York City in the Obama administration is very different than walking down the street in New York City holding my husband's hand in the Trump administration."
Yep.
And that it has bitten them in the butt a little bit because people have said, well, you've been so open before, you've been so free before. And he's like, that's the point. I've been able to be that way. I've been able to, in my own home, in my spaces, feel like I can be openly queer and affectionate with my partner. And now I don't. I don't feel like I can
Mhm.
do that. And what is that change? Who is that change? Of course, it's not just one person. It's a top-down thing, but it's multiple factors that come in. And to go to the second part of that question, which is the silencing coming from within our own community, that was surprising to me, and it hurt very much to hear that from some leadership, political leadership, who were
Mm.
saying you're going to poke the bear, you're drawing too much attention, and then from some people who were saying, drag queens basically should not speak for the queer community, because I've been called like the worst things you could imagine that a drag queen could be called, and in the letters I've gotten, notes I've gotten in Instagram, they're from gay people. They're from people
Mm.
within our community. obviously that's not solely, but the vast majority
Yeah.
have been silencing from within our community. And it's a little disturbing because if we break from within, then they've won because now we're a
Mhm.
fractured community and we can't find the common ground to unite and then push back on this oppression. And I think that's what they want, to be
Mhm.
honest. I think that's what they're vying for.
I
So
agree.
it's been an interesting 6 months, I would say.
Yes.
It's been like
That,
this last 6 months especially have been like just a whirlwind, and every day is something new. Every
of
day is
course.
something new and a new hurdle. And um, I'm sure you've talked a lot about the Charlie Kirk assassination and what that has meant to other things, and how we were sort of forced to mourn, and what that means. And it's very complex. It's very, very complex.
I think that's a great way to put it. Right now, everything is so complex, which is unfortunately part of the game plan. I think they want to make
Yeah.
everything so complex and frustrating that we finally just go, okay, I'm exhausted. I can't do. And
Mm,
one of the things that I've been chatting about a lot with people in my own circle, not just friends, but like in this realm, in the podcast and in my communities, is self-care is really important right now, folks.
mm,
Get some breaths, get some peace, find moments of peace, but also don't back down. And what I mean by that is I'm going to use what you just said. If you feel like it feels good to hold your partner's hand, hold your partner's hand. I realize it's in Crazyville these days, so you never know when somebody is going to pull a gun and go, oh, there's two faggots, let's get rid of them, right?
right.
But in the grand scheme of things, at least right now where we are, I haven't, every pride season, I've been like, what's going to go down? Something's going to go down. And, we've made it
Yep.
through. I hope we still continue to make it through. But here's the thing, if we crawl back in our little closets, that's exactly what they want. And I hate it that even in our own community, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to probably get some hate mail out of this. If we don't stay present, they've won. And whether
Hmm.
that means drag, crosswalks, storytelling time with a drag queen, saying what we want to say on a podcast, if we silence ourselves, we've lost.
Hmm.
And I realize that makes many people uncomfortable because who doesn't want to have a good life and feel safe? Let's just be honest, right?
Hmm.
But will we have a good life and feel safe if we're silenced? I don't think so.
I think there's also to caveat that, and that's so brilliantly put. If we go silent, we have to then accept that yes, they've won, but you've surrendered. And you have also said, I am okay with what follows because now I don't want to be part of the conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. And if that's what you have agreed to, then that's your choice. And I would, you have your reasons and I don't need to unpack that. But
Right.
I think that's what a lot of people feel like. Well, I just feel like I can't say anything. I can't say anything. And they've won. Well, the moment you stop, there is a choice you've made now. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's, what I love about your podcast and other podcasts that are coming out in this sort of free discussion, this healthy discourse about, what's going on in our community and the world and other things like that. But I would say, my number one advice is get out of the US for a while. Like go on a vacation and go somewhere else. Look at the United States the way the world looks at us, not the
Mm-hmm.
way our media or whatever, conservative or liberal media, whatever you choose to read. Go away for a week and just look and watch a news report, pick up a paper and look at how they're reporting on us and come back with a different lens and reset yourself. I find that has been the single greatest recharger I've been able to do. And
Yes.
of course, travel is a privilege, and I'm speaking from a place of privilege of that. And I get to work internationally, and that's something I'm just very grateful for. I know not everyone has that ability, but then pick up, Google BBC or Google.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
go and look at international media and see what they're saying. Not
Yes.
everything's making fun of us, but just look at how they're reporting and how different the tone is. And
Mm-hmm.
the global approach that their language is
Yes.
about stories. Even if they're reporting on Michigan, you'll find something that is, well, this didn't work in Finland, and here's what they're trying. And you know what I mean? Like the
Right.
way they approach news is just with a global mentality. And I think that's what we've lost.
And I also would encourage people to have some conversations with some people internationally, even if you can't get outside of the US. It's very interesting because in my other part of my work, which everybody knows, I do this work with coaching gay men coming out and midlife and all that. But another part of my work, I work with international people all the time, helping them build their speaking businesses. And I have the privilege because of being West Coast. My time zone actually works really well for people like in Australia, New Zealand, Asia. It actually works pretty good first thing in the morning for those that are in the UK because they're just getting off work. So if I've got sessions open early in the morning being before 9 o'clock or something like that, 9 or 10, it actually works because they've just gotten off work. And what I find so interesting is to hear some of them sharing with me, like, yeah, it's kind of crazy for you guys right now. Here's how we're seeing it. Or guess what? Similar things are starting to happen in our world. That's the interesting pieces I'm starting to find is the people are going, oh, UK for sure. There's definitely some factions in the UK that are mirroring almost like, well, if they can get away with this in the US, then we can get away with it here, sort of thing. It helped me so much. And again, going back to our trip from Zurich to Amsterdam, to be in those spaces and see some of the news headlines and just have conversations. When we were in the midst of the Amsterdam Pride Parade, it was really interesting. A young guy tapped me on the shoulder and was like, oh, he's cute. Okay, we won't go down that path. But he was cute. He was adorable. And he goes, oh, we have the same last name. And I'm like, oh, I forgot I have a jersey on that had my last name on it for Pride. And so we had this really interesting conversation. And then okay, so here's where the community piece comes in. Next thing I hear him saying is, hey, mom, dad, come over here. Okay, that was like, wow, this young guy who obviously was gay and his whole family was there representing all this sort of stuff. We had a really cool conversation about family and living there and, what's happening in the US, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
I think these conversations can help us feel, okay, we're not alone.
Yep.
Understand better how it's being perceived. And, there's other people even outside of the US are like, we're really scared about what's happening in the US because it actually has global impact.
Yes, it does.
And so if we don't start to understand that better, Eric, I think this is where we let ourselves down, not only as humanity, but definitely in our own community. Because every time there's somebody that says, hey, gay marriage just passed or something like this in this foreign country, that's like a hell yes. But if we start to quiet down when the time comes, which I hate to say it, but I think that time is coming for gay marriage to be tested big time here in the US all over again. This is why we, in my mind, have to keep having the conversations, having our voices open and singing from the top of the rooftops, as you do so beautifully, about why we have to continue the quote fight. So.
Absolutely, and being, as you mentioned in our sort of pre-taping discussion, that I was just at Stonewall, and it was I think my fourth or fifth show there, and it still gives me chills when I walk into the room and I get ready for my sound check because part of where the stage is where the room was rated. Like it's not the full room anymore. They've done construction inside and things like that. But a section of that room was like where you could go up with no windows and like hold your boyfriend's hand because public affection was illegal in 1959. Right. And so that was where they rated up, and the gay, the population pushed down, the trans population as well. I want to make sure they're part of that, pushed down the stairs, and it ended up coming out and broke the window and went out into the streets and Christmas trees. So to walk up those stairs and feel like history was made here. Absolutely. And sort of feel like the best way to describe it is just like my feet just sort of tingle, like I sort of in tune with like the vibrations of that room. And I've got a call, I'm just muting. But the history that space has for our people, for our culture, for trans rights, for drag rights, for uh, what it still stands for today. Like it blows my mind to walk into Stonewall and feel like it could happen again in this place.
Mm-hmm.
Like any one of the bars that I perform at any moment could be rated again for lewdness, for
Exactly.
whatever they want to choose. It just blows my mind to be in a place that's to me historical
Mm-hmm.
from 1969 that this happened here, and thinking it's 2025 and this could happen again. And
Yep.
I'm inclined to think, of course, I hate to say this, but I think it will happen again. I
Yes.
think it will happen again. And quite often with history, unfortunately, it takes catastrophe to start a revolution and
Yeah.
then we respond. But I think there's a good group of folks like yourself, and hopefully I'm included in there, of people who are sort of preemptively talking about this and trying to calm the
Mm-hmm.
storm before it happens and motivate people to unite and just take a breath. How can we
Yep.
move forward together? Let's stay together. Let's not break apart here. Let's figure this out together. You were talking about the crosswalks just a second ago. Yesterday, we just lost Miami Beach's crosswalk, and you know, it's it's not even like they're hiding. Like FDOT didn't come in and just like sandblast these bricks. They brought a bulldozer in and ripped up these
Mm.
bricks from a four-way intersection. I mean, like, so the pictures out there are these rainbow bricks rooted up on a bulldozer. And if that's not a metaphor for what is happening to the queer community, I don't know what else could wake you up. And people, the number one criticism I got when I led that protest in August was it's just a crosswalk. That was the number one thing people were saying. It's just a crosswalk. It doesn't really mean anything. We can repaint the walls. We can do that. We can do this. We can do that. And I was like, if you take the global approach, think bigger. Don't just think about the crosswalk. What is it that they're doing? Okay, overnight they changed the rules. These were all
Yep.
installed legally
Right.
under FDOT jurisdiction multiple years ago. It's in the case of the Orlando one, it was removed without notice. There was no opportunity for appeal. So due process went out the window. Okay. If they can do that with a crosswalk, what else can they do that to?
Well, that's the point, Eric. That's what I
And
mean.
people
There
were
was,
just missing it. It was
oh,
just falling
yes.
on deaf ears and blind eyes where it wasn't computing to them that this is an infringement on city and local government,
Right.
that they're not being able to run their city. And these were city streets, by the way, especially the
Yes.
one that's left in Fort Lauderdale. And and again, installed under FDOT regulations that allowed for them to happen. And now we're in this administration, something's not allowed.
Yeah.
So
And
okay,
that's
so
the stuff that's scary.
it's scary. What is next? So not to fearmonger, and
No.
that's what I'm very careful to not do. Okay, so now we're having these conversations. Now there's lawsuits. Now there's people who are motivated. There's people in other states who had no idea what was happening. I feel like I've done my job now. Now I've
Mm-hmm.
brought awareness. People are talking about it. They're sharing. They're asking me, what's the update? Have they done this? Have they done this? I think we still have West Palm. We definitely still have the Fort Lauderdale ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Key West one got removed. But they're putting in a big archway that
Hmm.
the city council has approved that says everyone welcome here, and it's like rainbow, and they're being smart. They're being
Yeah.
smart. Okay, so they want to get us the visibility off the street, so we'll go to the air.
Yep. Yep.
They're saying take one, we'll put two down. It's basically
Right.
what
Exactly.
saying,
Exactly. And I think that's an important piece for all of us to consider is, okay, number one, and I've always said this, I've said this, and maybe this is where my somewhat quote, okay, where my faith-based upbringing kind of kicks in.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is like I've always, so that upbringing always led me to fear, which is not a good place. But it always said there will come a time when this will happen, and then this will happen, and this will happen, and it's playing out right now, right? And so I've always said, please let's not be so stupid. okay, to think that if they come after trans people, okay, I'm going to keep it in our community, but I'm going to take it even further down the rabbit hole. They're coming after trans, gays, lesbians, bis, we're right in line. But if they can start to attack that, like they attacked women's health with abortion, they can infringe on anybody's personal right. But this is the thing that I don't think people really get. Like, these are all personal rights.
Yep.
I'm not asking you what's going on in your freaking bedroom. Could be fun,
Mhm.
but I'm not asking any of my straight friends like what's happening in your bedroom. No more than you should be asking me what's going on in mine. No more than I should say, hey, I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole vaccine thing a little bit, but hey, if you don't want to get a vaccine, that's kind of on you. But when that vaccine affects everybody else around you, we have a problem.
Mhm.
And these are the pieces that I wish people would understand. I'm not asking any of you, even in our gay community, if you don't want to get married, then don't. But
Correct.
understand those of us who wanted that and the benefits that come with that 1,120, whatever it is, benefits for being married that most people don't. I had said to one of my straight friends the other day, I said, so let me put this in perspective for you. I said, did you know that there are 11, I think it's 1,121 benefits that you get the moment that you sign that piece of paper and you're married that single people do not get? And they're like, that's not true. I'm like, go look it up.
Yeah.
Go look it up.
Down from if your partner's in a coma and you aren't married and you want to go in and make a call, you don't get to make that call.
Nope.
Assumed inheritance or life insurance policies or property transfers of death of your spouse. Those simple things that are sort of, I think, in our community construed as heteronormative, but really they're rights to married couples that people don't think about until they're already in it too thick, right? Or their partner gets sick, or God forbid something happens suddenly, and then they go, "Oh, wait, I didn't realize I wasn't entitled to that because I'm gay or XYZ."
Well, even just tax benefits. I mean, let's be real. I mean, for most people, usually for us, I remember the day my accountant said, well, if y'all got married, you would have saved $10,000 in taxes. I'm like, should I fire you now instead of, right? Yeah. And it wasn't just about the money, but this is true. Yeah. Like, I mean,
it's true.
You go back to being single status, suddenly you pay a higher level versus, all these things. And it's not necessarily about the money. It's about the overall picture. Oh, no, we can't, you're a married couple. Oh, no, we can't consider you for a loan because you're gay. All these things are just the weird stuff that people don't consider. And again, for everyone listening, and I wish I could shout this from the heavens, these are about privileges of being human. Just treat people as humans. And for whatever reason, for some reason, it's not trickling into some people's thinking like, oh, just no big deal. Crosswalk, no big deal. Yes, it's a crosswalk, and I get it. And yes, there's a piece of me initially like, well, why can't we just work on other stuff that's important? And then I thought, wait. It starts here, and then it goes here, and then it goes here, and then it goes here, then it goes here. And I very quickly in my own mind go, wait, Rick, you can't have that thought. Because I love that there's other things happening. I mean, I've seen like the bicycle racks in
Key West,
Key West and all that. That's great. But the thing is why should we keep having to jump through hoops when nobody else is? I live in a really cute little town on the central coast of California. And I remember when an artist group decided they were going to go paint cool little paintings on the streets on certain corners and stuff just to enhance. And then they went and started painting all the electrical boxes, like the boxes you see on a street corner that are like, here's where the phone stuff and everything is. Nobody threw a fit about that. Nobody threw a fit about that. But why is it as soon as it goes to like, ooh, this is this thing, oh, well, now, we're just brainwashing kids. It's going to cause traffic accidents. I'm like, I don't remember last time anything being painted on the street caused a freaking traffic accident. So give me a break.
The statistics proved otherwise. That was the most bizarre part. It actually proved they were safer. These, it dramatically reduced intersection accidents and pedestrian safety. And, a lot of people said the same thing to me. Why are we worrying about a crosswalk? Aren't there? What about poverty? What about gay homelessness? And we're like, listen, we didn't start this battle, but we're about to finish this battle. They came at us, and you can look at the timeline. Ron DeSantis first said rainbow. We're not going to have our quote, we're not going to have our streets politicized. Okay. Well, then he got in trouble because where was that line? Where was it? It became very quickly less and less about just the rainbow crossings. Now we have artistic crossings. There was a Black History Matters, one that was in St. Pete. Then there was also one that was Blue Lives Matter, which was near the police station, I believe, in Tampa, if I remember correctly. So he had to concede and say, all right, now it's not safe. Now having these in the streets aren't safe. It's like, well, but you said we were politicizing. Now you're saying they're not safe, but you have no statistics to back that up. In fact, we're showing you a report that was nationwide that proved otherwise. Two of these are two of the ones you want to remove in Fort Lauderdale that they actually studied. And it's proving the exact opposite of what you're saying. Now you're just want to, so he got rid of everything. He said, well, they almost go. So now 400 art installments. Some of these are installments from people who are world-renowned artists that put them in and care very deeply about the care and the upkeep of these things. And I think you said something very great, very profound. And it's germane to this because it talks about a parent's choice. You know, you talked about vaccination and drag to story time and all this thing. Our party here, the Republican Party in Florida, is the one that argues it's the parent's right to choose. It's the parent. I should have the right to choose what I educate my child. Okay, so you've got say gay. You want to remove the rainbow crosswalks because it's an aversion to your child's eyes. Okay, well, I just did a fundraiser for Naples Pride that basically got told by the city of Naples, you can't have drag outside. Well, what about the queer families who don't care, who want to bring their child to a pride to show them culture and the other side of the world and this other thing, this other art form? That is also that parent's right to choose. Choice. Exactly. So you can't be the party of parents' choice and say, but only if they choose the conservative choice.
Right. But and only if you're only, but if only you're white conservative parent in a heterosexual normal blah blah blah. That's the
subtext of it all, though.
Oh, it's all the subtext of it all. Yeah.
So it was incredibly it was really sad because the Naples Pride sued and won and got an injunction put on that order from the city of Naples. And then I think it was about 9 hours before Pride was supposed to start. It was close of business on Friday and Pride was Saturday. And a judge decided to say, nope, Court of Appeals, we're going to uphold this one, but not this one. Drag has to be inside and for 18 and over. So hours before a massive Pride event, they had to reorganize their entire logistic for Pride and bring drag back inside.
That's ridiculous.
It was incredibly heartbreaking. They did it though. I mean, you know, give a gay a project and we will deliver.
And you'll get it done.
And we'll get it done.
But you know, the interesting thing to me, Eric, and you kind of brought this up and I want to come back to it, was the whole Stonewall experience. So and if anybody hasn't been there, first of all, even if you just go stand, I mean, we were there in April and they were working on something. So there was a lot of scaffolding around Stonewall, but the park right outside where it celebrates all of this, it's a celebration of a historical moment. Okay. Oh, but we don't want that because that's politicized. Really? But you sure want your Confederate soldier statues left alone and all this shit, right? This is why these things to me are so very, very important. And they're trying, we see it, get the stuff out of the museums, get, you know, everything from slavery to all this, because in their mind, if it's not where it can be seen, it never happened. It's always going to happen. I'm sorry. Let's go to the Republican convention and let's truly turn on Grindr, Scruff, all the apps and tell me it ain't happening, right?
Yeah.
And so I think this is where that beautiful piece of you doing what you do and then being the amazing performer that you are. And guys and gals, if you're listening, because I know I have some women that listen to this podcast too. If you ever get the chance to see Eric and Miss Bouvier, you need to, because he is one of the few drag performers that actually does sing live. and he's got a beautiful, amazing voice. We haven't really talked about that, but you're a professionally trained singer, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, my background is in classical music and musical theater, and I worked as a male identifying and male presenting actor for years. And then, just before COVID, I played around with this character, Miss Bouvier, and then COVID hit, and I wanted to entertain people because I was feeling some kind of way about
Yep.
not being able to perform or be in spaces with people and bring art to people. And so I did a live stream every week as Miss Bouvier, and it actually helped. I did it for 16 weeks, and it helped me sort of hone what I wanted to present as Miss Bouvier, and it hit. And in our business, the performing business, the show business, when you find that thing,
Yes.
you ride that wave until it crashes somewhere else, because
Yeah.
it's a once in a lifetime thing. You're lucky if it happens again.
Mhm.
And I've just, I drank the proverbial Kool-Aid of Miss Bouvier, and went through, and it's taken me around the world now.
That's
The
such a
ironic
cool
part
thing.
is I tried to do cruise ships like all through my 20s and my 30s as a piano player. And I tried to get on cruise ships. I never could like get in the door,
Mm,
and now it's like I'm saying no
that's
to
awesome.
it's the most bizarre thing. And
Mhm.
again, that's why I say anybody who's in show business who listens to this, you know what I'm talking about when it
Yep.
comes to when you find it, you stay in it.
Yep.
You do not walk away, and you respect what you've put out in the universe that's now coming back to you, and you stay there. You stay in that vehicle for a while.
I will 100% support that. I mean, my podcast is a piece of entertainment too. And once I realized this is something I love doing, and
Mm.
there's joy and it impacts people, and this episode, I don't remember what I said before, but I'll look at my little notes. Okay, so this is episode 352 on this podcast. Prior to that, I did 609, no, 661 of my
Wow.
previous podcast. That's 900 and some shows of it's over 1,000 shows of dedication. And when you find what you can ride, and I love riding this wave, my husband, I always say, you can take everything else away from me, do not take away my ability to do a podcast. I could do
Hmm.
without I mean, I love coaching. Yes,
Hmm.
guys, keep coming to me for coaching. I need to make
Yes,
some money,
yes,
girls. But
yes.
this is like that thing, and this conversation today is a perfect example of having impact, talking about the things that need to be talked about, sharing with people. Some people, this is their only outlet.
Hmm.
I have listeners like this is their only outlet to be able to hear like about gay men over 40 and gay
Yeah.
life, because they live in a very small town in a very red population, and they're afraid to say who they really are. And I love that we have been able today, Eric, to talk about some things that need to be talked about. Some of them are not the easy things, but also to talk about you and your beautiful way that you bring yourself into our world. And again, I feel like I know I'm a fanboy. Just that little bit of time I got to spend with you on that Amsterdam cruise. And I'm glad that you made the time to come here today and be part of my world. So,
Well, Rick, I just think that the single most valuable thing we can have right now is dialogue. To stay silent is to accept silence, whether it's oppressed or chosen. And just talking about being queer and being
mhm.
gay or whatever it is you're identifying within that spectrum is so important to talk about your experience. And
Yeah.
I just think what you're doing is so important and in perpetuity. That will never go away. Of course, we
Mhm.
we long for the day where this type of
That we
conversation
don't
is
have to do
irrelevant.
this.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course we long, but that's why prides need to happen,
Mhm.
and because we are tired of adjusting who we are to make others more comfortable. That's
Exactly.
not what we
Exactly.
should be asked to do. So I really appreciate you and what you're doing.
Well, and guys and gals, if you're listening, we've got a link to Miss Bouvier's site. She's busy. I'm just gonna say she's one busy girl. But there's lots of stuff coming up. I see stuff all the way into the holiday season already up on the website. You can
Mhm.
catch him, her anywhere, and you will not be disappointed, whether it's the encountering the beauty of the artistry that Eric and Miss Bouvier bring to stage, or you get to sit in a conversation with Eric like this about how can we be who we're meant to be in the world. So please go visit, go see him perform and do his thing wherever he might be. And more than anything, I think Eric and I both hope that we bought some hope today in some way, and stay in the fight however you can do it. So once again, Mr. Eric, I wish I could give you a big hug and kiss right now. But thank you, my friend, for being here, being part of this. And I can't wait to hopefully cross paths with you again on another cruise. So
I'll see you. We'll get there. It'll
get
come
there.
Again. Once you're an outbounder, you're always in the family.
Always. And so rest of you, go have a great week. We are going to be back in just another week with another episode. You never know what's coming up on 40 Plus Gay Men Gay Talk, but I can always promise you it's going to be something good and it's going to be something juicy. So go have a great week and keep fighting the fight, being yourselves, no excuses, no fears, and no apologies. Have a great week, everyone. Take care.
That's a wrap for 40 Plus Gay Men, Gay Talk, where size doesn't matter. We drop our bullshit, get over our screwed up fears, make bold moves, and live life without apologies. Don't forget to join us on Facebook at 40 Plus Gay Men, Gay Talk, where the conversations continue.